Hey guys, Hart here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you once again for joining me. It's time for another episode of Pop Talk. I am so excited to be bringing these topics to you today. So last episode, I talked about Nas, R. Kelly, and Kanye, of course, and I forgot to even talk to you guys a little bit about the fact that I turned 30, which is way more important than any of these guys. But I was just so caught up in all of their drama that I didn't even remember to tell you I turned 30. OMG, I had a great time. My husband had a surprise dinner for me, or what he thought was a surprise, but because I'm an investigative journalist and a detective child, I kind of got a little inkling that he was gonna do it, but I was pleasantly surprised by the cake. It was beautiful. If you're following me on social media, like you should be, Hart TV across the board, you can see that I posted that on my Facebook as well as my Instagram. So go on over and check it out. Before we move forward with the episode, I want you guys to subscribe. If it's your first time, subscribe. If you're returning and you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. And let's get started with the Pop Talk. So first up on the list, it's the Met Gala. That took place here in New York City on Monday night, and the who's of anybody in the fashion entertainment industry was on the carpet. And I love the Met Gala because it just brings everybody together, like the actresses, the models, the rappers, the singers, everybody comes and shows up, and there's usually always a theme, and I think it's the one time where you can be as over the top as possible as you want with your fashion. Now, it doesn't mean that you're always going to get the theme right and that people will agree that you look great, but you can certainly take fashion risks. So the theme this year was Heavenly Bodies, Fashion Meets Catholic Imagination, and that caused a lot of controversy. Catholic people were not happy about that. I had many favorites and I had some not so favorites, but as always, some people get it right and some people get it wrong, and some people are just happy to be invited, so they just show up and they have no clue. Rihanna hosted the Met Gala this year, and she shut down the carpet like she always does. I mean, you can never expect anything less from Rihanna. I think if she wears a garbage bag, I know she wears a garbage bag, it will look great. So that's not even a question. But she was wearing Maison Margiela, and she had like a papal hat on and everything. It was just an ode to Catholicism, and she looked great. It was just like this silver number, corseted waist, length was perfect. It wasn't ball gowny like the rest of the women would opt for. She looked great. She looked fantastic. Another girl that slays all the time, I love her, and she's a fellow tall girl, so I have to shout her out, is Zendaya. She was giving an ode to Joan of Arc. She was also in a silver number, and she was styled by her notorious stylist, Luxury Laura Roach, and her dress was Atelier Versace. She looks great all the time. Her hair was done by Ursula Stephen. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I mean, this girl is just showing up and shutting every carpet down as well. So she's right kind of up there holding her own with Rihanna. Also, I love J-Lo in this Balmain look. I mean, J-Lo is another woman that you can always count on. She never disappoints, looks great, in phenomenal shape, body together, girl. Okay, but she was giving you a situation like J-Lo does, and you know, she looked great. I also loved Cardi B. Now, this Cardi B is growing on me, okay? Like a mole that just you can't get rid of. She is growing on me. She looked great with showing off her bump very well. This might have been her first year attending the Met Gala, because you know it's like a big deal to get invited, and you can only be invited by Anna Wintour herself. She handpicks everyone who attends the Met Gala. So Cardi B was wearing Moschino, and she was accompanied by Jeremy Scott, who is the designer over at Moschino, and he basically looked like he was her date. I mean, technically he was, but he wore an ensemble, the same thing as her, basically, just a man version. But she looked fantastic. A lot of the people on the carpet, particularly the women, wear headpiece. They wore a lot of headpieces, so you saw lots of head adornments on the women, and included in that category is Solange, and she was wearing this black leather, just kind of peplum number with a beautiful headpiece that was all braided. It looked kind of like wire or maybe, some other detail, but it was actually braids that went through the piece and kind of made it stand out. And her garment was from Iris Van Hepburn. I've never heard that designer before, but she was wearing it. Solange is very eclectic and she just takes lots of fashion risks. And she also likes to do an ode to just black culture, and she did that very well. Blake Lively, who was a fellow tall girl, I loved her look. She was also wearing Atelier Versace, and it was just this long train dress. Of course, she was giving slitage. It was very intricate work, as well as she was wearing headpiece. Like I said, Cardi B, Solange, Blake Lively, so many people showed up in headpieces. Everyone was parading on the carpet. On my not so good list was Gabrielle Union, who was wearing Prado Garong, and it was just this yellow promy, just regular red carpet dress. It's like, there are people who get invited and those that understand the theme and those that don't get the theme, they just don't come close to it. And there are those that just are like, I am so glad that I get to be here and I'm just gonna show up, and it don't matter how I look, but I'm just gonna be here. And so I felt like, come on, Gabs, you walked many red carpets before. This is a dress that you could wear at the SAG, maybe at a BT award or something, but girl, not the doggone Met Gala. Like, this is just average. Also, I did not like Kerry Washington. I mean, she was giving me here, yes, honey, here is I'm here for, but that little disco dress, girl, looking like a praise dancer on the carpet, I was not appreciative of it. It was Ralph Lauren. Also not appreciative of what Miley Cyrus wore. She was wearing Stella McCartney, and it was just a regular dress as well. Long, deep back, long train. Okay, moving on. I also did not like what Nicki Minaj wore. She wore just this red dress from Oscar de la Renta, cleavage, okay, little neck piece, okay, had something on her head. I wasn't intrigued by it at all, and for her to kind of be resurfacing, I thought she should have went a little bit more all out. So it's ironic that, I'm not really a fan of Nicki or Cardi B, but Cardi B made it into my hit list, okay? She was on the list of girls that I thought looked fabulous, understood the theme, and did it well. Nicki, not so much. But they are also sparking conversation because they were spotted together, photographed, having a conversation. People are trying to figure out what they're talking about. I really don't care what they're talking about. I think that people just need to leave it alone and not try to pit these women against each other. There's room for both of them at the top. They're great at what they do, and they just need to continue doing that. There's no time to who's better. Nicki, who cares? They're both doing it, they're both getting it, and just let that be. Cardi B is also in the news because later on that evening, someone was asking her for an autograph, and her people, bodyguards and whoever other people she had around her for the evening, they beat up this man, like literally beat him to a pulp. And allegedly. It's not alleged if you see the video, right? Like, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, you saw that they beat him up and he supposedly went to the hospital and all that stuff. So, be fully prepared to hear about a lawsuit coming. He's gonna sue everybody and their mama from the top to the bottom. Cardi B, he gonna sue Cardi, he gonna sue Offset, he gonna sue Jeremy Scott, who made her that dress, Anna Wintour, who puts together the Met Gala. Everybody is gonna get sued. The guys, showed up and showed out, and I was appreciative of the fashion sense of style that they showed. I thought that, hey, okay, they weren't wearing the regular suits, and because it's hard for guys a lot of times to get into these themes. And so Wiz Khalifa, he looked great. He was wearing Dior Homme. He was not on theme, but I just thought that he looked great. But Chadwick Boseman in Versace, all white with just crosses everywhere, I thought he displayed that well. Versace actually hosted a Met Gala after party, so on the carpet a lot of people were wearing Versace, and even at the after parties. Also in Versace was Amigos, and they were wearing like embellished jackets and all the 50 million pieces of jewelry with black tuxedo pants. Childish Gambino hit the carpet wearing a muted tone suit from Gucci, but it was embellished on the back. And 2 Chainz was also on the carpet. I don't know who he was wearing, but he proposed to his longtime girlfriend Keisha Ward, which I feel like it was cool, you know, but you're at the Met Gala, for crying out loud. The minute Rihanna walks by and you're proposing, no one's gonna care about that. Everyone's gonna be like, Rihanna, Rihanna, Rihanna. So it's not like, it loses its intimacy. He's not someone to do things for show, so I'm really confused as to why he would want to propose to her at the Met Gala. But I figured, you know what, as a woman who has stuck with him for so long and they have 3 children together, this proposal is basically long overdue. She will take that proposal at the train station, wherever he decides to do it. It's like, oh my gosh, finally. So congratulations to them. Back to Childish Gambino. I want to talk a little bit about that video, This Is America, because that's getting a lot of buzz as well. And I watched that for the first time today, and my husband was like, honey, it's graphic. We had our son in the room and he was like, this is really graphic, I don't want him to see it. So I had to like distract him while I was watching it, and pow, in the beginning, just shot to the head. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then when it came to the church scene and he just shot the people down, I'm like, ah. But you know what, people have lived through those real things. And I couldn't tell you what else the song was saying. Like, I need to Google the lyrics because all I was hearing is This Is America. And I was looking at those very strange dance moves that he was doing. That distracted me a lot. But it was very powerful that him executing those basically like graphic, you know, shootings in the video, which is a real thing, that as intense as it is, it's the reality of what many in our country are living through or have lived through. And so I love that he brought light to it. Someone that was not on my best dressed list in the female category is Scarlett Johansson. And I saved her for this point because she was also stirring up a lot of controversy. She wore a Marquesa dress and it just was not very flattering, but that's not the issue. The issue is the fact that she wore the Marquesa dress, and Marquesa, that brand, it was created by one of the women it was created by is the estranged wife of Harvey Weinstein. And so people are not happy about that at all. And this is the first time that anybody has worn a Marquesa dress since the whole Time's Up Me Too movement. We don't know for sure right now why she opted to wear that dress, but I can tell you that people are not happy. And I see both sides of the spectrum. But here's what I have to say about it is that I don't think that her livelihood should suffer simply because of the things that her husband has done. But I also see the point that people are saying she rose to the platform and the trajectory of her brand grew astronomically simply because her husband had these reins on women, and he used his power over them and basically was like, wear this dress or else, you know, you're not going to get this role, or you won't get to audition for this or whatever. So on that note, I could see why it's like, okay, no, you shouldn't wear something like that, right? Because basically the brand is tainted and it has all his filth and his stains of the sexual harassment all over it, because him exercising his power over these women is basically in line with all of these allegations that have come out against him. But on the flip side, it's like she's no longer associated with him. They're getting a divorce. So some are saying, well, she should A, change the name of the brand, B, also rebrand, and then C, come out and say that she supports the Me Too movement, and to say that she's no longer affiliated with Harvey Weinstein. And I agree with that too. I do think that she does need to put out a statement if you want to have your brand be revived, and because the pieces are great. Like, I looked at a Marquesa dress for my 21st birthday because I love the detailing and all the flower work, and it's just really beautiful pieces of art, you know. And so she's not the only person that created this brand. There's another woman involved who was not married to Harvey, who has nothing to do with all of the things that he has done. And so I don't think that they should both suffer, because again, she has decided to divorce this man. So clearly she doesn't agree with any of the things that he has done, unlike, you know, Bill Cosby's wife, who stuck with him throughout this whole thing, and here he is about to go to jail for basically like 30 years. I mean, he will die in prison for all it's worth, you know? So I would like to hear what you guys think about it. I don't think that the brand should suffer, that these women should suffer because of the things that he's done. But I do think that they do need to issue a statement and make their allegiance with the Me Too Time's Up movement clear. Switching gears to Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson, who are in the media again because they are apparently making a push to make the relationship work. So here's the thing about that, because I talked about it in my last video, even with the whole Kanye bit, which is why, guys, you gotta subscribe, and you also have to look at all the videos, because you miss a video, you miss a lot. But nevertheless, in my last video, I was saying that Tristan Thompson better beware. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. He's way in over his head being affiliated with this family. Not only does he have a child with this woman now, he was caught in these cheating scandals. They are going to make him pay. And I said that the only thing I think that would save him, other than Jesus and maybe LeBron, is the fact that his mother is around and actively involved in his life. His dad isn't, but his mom, you know, a strong black woman, honey. But if anything happens to her like it did to Miss Donda, let me tell you something. That boy is destroyed. Okay? So apparently they're trying to make the relationship work, and so they've been spotted around Cleveland, going to lunch together, though he looked very disinterested, like he was on his phone the whole time. And basically sources at the restaurant said that, yeah, like he was paying her no attention the whole time. They were at lunch together, but there was someone else there. She's making appearances at the game. She was at the game, and you know, they're just kind of being out and about. And the truth of the matter is, I think it's just really a ploy from the mom to like, okay, you got to stay in the public eye. People want to, you know what's going on. And I think that they need to deal with this privately. And that's not something that they know how to do very well. And they've built this platform where people are just intrigued by everything that they do. And I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I could give respect to Kylie Jenner for how she kept the pregnancy under wraps. You know, I don't agree with any other things that she does, but I can respect her wanting to keep the pregnancy private and just kind of really hone in on what it takes to become a mother, because she was doing it at such a very young age. Now with Khloe, you know, we all know that Khloe's wanted to have this baby for so long, and it's unfortunate to some degree how this is all unfolded, but you know how she got Tristan. I talked about it in my other videos, so go look at that and then you'll be up to date. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that this needs to play out in the public eye. I mean, just stay home, figure it out. But what am I saying? It's the Kardashians. Of course it's going to play out in the public eye. Moving on to Kanye, because I talked about him a little bit, you know, and that family that he's associated with. So of course I talked a lot in depth about the rant and, you know, all the mental health that he needs right now. And so he's retreated to the mountains of Wyoming, where he is working on these 5 albums that he has coming out in collaborations with all the different artists that he manages. It's on his label, blah blah blah. So that TMZ rant just got everybody's wheels a turning. People standing with him and people not standing with him. And some of the people that are standing with him happen to be Common and T.I. Actually, T.I. was on The Breakfast Club, you know, talking about how he reached out to Kanye and he had a deep conversation with him. And he doesn't agree with him, but he can see the position that you know, he's coming from, the place that he's coming from. But it was very interesting because one of the things that T.I. said in the interview was that he spoke to Kanye and he said to him, do you realize that you are hurting the people who have supported you? Because those are not, like, being aligned with Trump hurts them as a people. And they supported you from the very beginning of your career. And so you doing that is hurting them. And T.I. said that he paused and he hadn't thought about that for a while. And it was so funny because then Charlemagne says that Kanye texted him and was like, hey, am I hurting people? T.I. said, I'm hurting people. So then Charlemagne said to T.I., keep saying what you're saying to him, man, because, you know, it's getting through to him somehow. And even though T.I. doesn't agree with him, he was just still willing to be in his corner and to hear him out and to also educate him, because he really is not very educated on a lot of things that Trump does that Trump says. And I think that that's mainly who Trump supporters are. They're just people that are not educated on anything that he does. All they see, and I think this is why Kanye likes him, is someone who wrote, like, people counted him out, didn't think he could make it, and he did. And so it's like the underdog essentially rose to the top, and people like those stories, and Kanye considers himself an underdog as well, and he's also made it to the top, so he resonates with him on that level. I don't even think it's like a policy thing, it's a political thing. I think it's just like one person who understands being the underdog to another person who was viewed as an underdog as well. And not underdog financially, because we do know that Trump started off ahead in the financial race, but politically, no one really believed that he would become president. And the fact that he is like, oh my goodness, this is insane. So I'm not defending Kanye in any way. Let me just be very clear. I do believe that he does have the right to have free thought. And I also, like I said in my previous video, I believe that, but you know, you need to use discretion. Like, everything has consequences. And so you can be free to think, but you don't have to be free to say it. Does that make sense? Like, anyway, that's a whole nother video. Another person that I talked about in my previous video that's still in the news as well is R. Kelly with these sex cult allegations, but now he is speaking up against it, and he is saying that this is all a ploy to defame him, to destroy him, to get money from him. So one of the women who allegedly he has in the sex cult, you know, her parents, according to him, her parents made that lie up because they wanted to align themselves with him to grow their business endeavors, and he denied them. And so they decided to say, oh, he's got my daughter in a sex cult. And, you know, here's the thing about those parents and all of those parents who have put their daughters in harm's way where R. Kelly is concerned. I blame them just as much as I blame him, because yes, all the things that he has done is unacceptable, inappropriate, I am not tolerating it, I'm not condoning it on any level, and I do believe that he does need to get his day in court, and he does need to really be punished for these things that he's done. But I think that those parents need to be right there alongside him, because for all of these years that you have heard things about R. Kelly, right? But he's basically a pedophile, you know, and marrying Aaliyah at such a young age, peeing on these young girls in these videos. I mean, there have been so many things that has circled him for so long. So as a parent, I'm thinking, there is absolutely no way that I will allow my daughter near you. No matter what career I think you can offer her, there's got to be some other way. I mean, everybody can't be out here being the pimp Kris Jenner, you know, and her girls are not black. So it's just a whole nother ball game when it comes to things like that. What do you think is going to happen to your little black child? You know, I mean, and you don't even have the skills and the capabilities to really make sure that this predator is not going to destroy them. So I blame the parents just as much as I blame R. Kelly, because, I mean, one of the girls, who apparently was in a sex cult and escaped or whatever, and basically is the one who is campaigning for this whole mute R. Kelly situation, she was missing for days on end, and she would just like kind of lie to her parents and say, oh, I'm at so-and-so's house. Here's the thing, at 16, there's no way you're spending the night out in anybody's house for that extended amount of time, and especially on a school night. I'm coming to get your behind. If you are not home by this time, I'm coming to get you. But the truth is that they knew that she was with R. Kelly. They wanted her to get this career or whatever. And so they allowed her to be there, you know. By the way, I had no idea that he doesn't know how to read, write, or do math. So an illiterate, non-counting man is enslaving, like sex enslaving people? Are y'all kidding me? Like, this is ridiculous. First of all, the fact that he can't read and write or spell, do math, do nothing, you should be able to outsmart him on any day. Like, what in the world? Nobody that can't read and write is gonna hold me nowhere. Get out of here. But this just speaks to the power that people, you know, give to celebrities, no matter what their standing is. It's like, if I think that your celebrity can help me attain something greater than what I already have, then I'm willing to compromise anything. And even these parents, I mean, I talk to parents on a consistent basis, even like, you know, in the modeling and acting industry. I am just so, they're just so gullible and so unaware. And for crying out loud, like, there's the internet. Like, why don't people use it? People don't read, people don't know. But a lot of the parents I come to contact with, I have to make them aware on a consistent basis about the predators that are there, and then they need to be with their children, and they need to be in those casting rooms. And when they say, oh, you can't come in, it's like, no, but she's mine. I'm going to stand to the side and I'll be here. It's going to be okay. Because then you put your kids into harm's way, and then the guilt you have to live with. Like, a parent who genuinely doesn't know what's being done to their child because they've kind of relinquished all of the control to the agent or manager or whatever. I don't think that that's the right thing to do. You need to stick right in there, because you are that child's parent and only you can protect them. But then the ones that are just as greedy and money grubbing, then they put their kids in harm's way. So them and R. Kelly need to be incarcerated, because that's ridiculous to me. And the other ridiculous situation that I want to talk about is this JT Jackson and Kevin Hart situation. So JT Jackson has been a friend of Kevin Hart's for a very long time. I mean, for crying out loud, he has literally demanded that people give this man prominent roles on projects that Kevin was working on. So he's helped him eat, he's helped him feed his family. They have rolled as boys for a very long time. But here's the thing. So, you know, with the whole extortion case that's happening, where Kevin went to Las Vegas and had a wild night and decided to go back to his room with some woman, and he's caught in this sex tape cheating on his pregnant wife, and later on we learned that someone was trying to extort money from him. Lo and behold, it's his boy. Let me tell you something. Wow. It's ridiculous that you would help someone to build their career for such a long time. It's like, people don't know what they want. You can't please them either way. You get on and you leave them behind. They say you burn you forgot where you came from. You get on and you bring them, and this is how they burn you. But let me be very clear that I am not excusing the things that Kevin Hart did. And I think that, you know what? Good for you, because you had no business being in that room with that young lady anytime. The good thing about this is that she is no longer implicated, because for a very long time they were saying that she's the one, you know, that is doing the extortion. And so finally her name is cleared because this man has been arrested. But Kevin, I haven't forgotten, and I hope that people don't forget either. Now, I do hope that you learn from this, and you need to be very careful about who you let in your circle, but don't think for a second that you're not guilty anymore. Like, what you were doing was inappropriate, and you had no business being in that hotel room with that woman. So, yeah. And that is all the pop talk that I have for you today. Thank you once again for joining me. As always, it was a pleasure. I enjoy sharing my pop thoughts with you. I'd like you to do the same. I'd also like you to subscribe and to like and to comment and to share. And until next time, darlings, ciao.